So the USDA defines food deserts as parts of the country vapid of fresh fruit, vegetables, and other healthful whole foods, usually not found in impoverished areas. This is largely due to a lack of grocery stores, farmers markets, and healthy food providers. The USDA defines, in Northwest Indiana, there are a total of 22 food deserts. The bottom line is, if this means that low-income, working poor, and homeless do not have access or as much access to healthy foods. We assume that if the food is donated, that poor people will clamor for it no matter what it is. But I have personally been asked several times, repeatedly, for healthy food options. So much of our food is processed and has been linked directly with obesity, cancer, and other health issues, which then cannot be properly addressed without adequate health care. Studies have shown that low-income seniors who receive assistance with food have more to spend on medications and thus actually live longer. This is not a choice so many have. So our Seeds of Hope started out as a community garden 7 years ago. First Christian Church of Highland, Indiana sits on about 4.2 acres of land, which is substantial land for a suburban Northwest Indiana community. We are just outside of Chicago. A core group of volunteers created Seeds of Hope Community Garden with the vision of cultivating produce for anyone who wanted it or needed it. Much of the produce was donated to area food pantries. We started out with a raised bed that was in the shape of a cross, and we grew a variety of different vegetables. There is a picture of the first component of our garden. The vision and mission remains to provide healthy food, to produce to anyone who needs it. After several years of weathering, we did have to take down the original garden boxes as they began to deteriorate. And thus, new areas of vision and growing and planting were sprouting up all over. The mission remains to provide healthy produce to anyone who needs it. The vision is to fill our 4.2 acres with gardens, mostly to donate the produce to low-income or no-income people. We also hope to add community boxes for people to do their own farming or gardening. We also would like to add a farm-to-table teaching garden that would include healthy cooking classes. And in the midst of all of that, there will be a labyrinth. We are still sort of considering how we're going to put the labyrinth, if we're going to do a pollinating labyrinth to accommodate our garden, or exactly how that's going to play out. But we have money set aside just for that project. We're also leaving room for possibilities like hydroponics, a farmer's market, and our parking lot. And we have lots of ideas simmering. In 2018, Seeds of Hope Community Garden became an actual USDA farm through what is called the EQUIP program, or Environmental Quality Incentives Program, through the Natural Resource Conservation Service. This was a really important first step in achieving the vision and mission of the farm. What that does is it helps us to develop an actual plan for how to cultivate in the highest yield. It will help us purchase a high tunnel for our existing gardens, extending our growing season, and assists with pest management and reduces soil erosion. Our land also has issues with flooding, primarily in the spring, and especially this spring, but in the rainy months. And NRCS connected us with an area community program which secured us 15 trees for free that grow well in flood plains. And so the trees will help drink up the excess water, allowing us to expand our growing further. We hope to expand this ministry for community engagement and relationship development. We also want to include education and resource development for those who reap the benefits of the garden. We also want to be a voice for healthy food sustainability in the long term. As we are a Green Chalice congregation, we want to use best environmental practices as key to how we develop this ministry. We are working toward an organic growing system, though USDA organic farms, it takes 3 years and a whole lot to get that far. You have to, like every day, you have to take the temperature of your compost, and it has to be in a certain area in order for you to maintain those organic regulations. It's really, really hard to be organic. So we are making steps and progress toward being organic in our growing, but we're not quite sure if we can do the organic as far as the USDA is concerned. We're also considering keeping bees to help with our mission. It would serve us twofold. The bees would help us pollinate, but also we could sell the honey and the honeycomb for a constant stream of income for the farm. And I forget how, it's like hundreds of pounds in one hive of honey. And so you can make, in theory, depending on how much you charged and how much was actually put out, but you can make between $400 and $600 in a season for one hive of honey. Also, the book Beekeeping for Dummies is a really good book. It's really good. Oh, and lastly, if we kept bees, we'd be doing our part to save the bees, which is really important. So why a farm? Jesus said, "For I was hungry and you gave me food. I was thirsty and you gave me drink. I was a stranger and you welcomed me." Feeding the hungry, both of mind, body, and spirit, is a key component of our commission as disciples of Jesus Christ. Jesus simply says, "Feed my sheep." In Proverbs 31:20 says, "She opens her hand to the poor and reaches out her hands to the needy." Our church, as so many churches, sit on a lot of land that quite frankly don't do a whole lot except run our lawn mowers. And so we decided that we were going to, one step at a time, begin utilizing our land for purposes of ministry. Some key components of who we are. Our farm is intentionally intergenerational. Last year, we, with our youth group, we took one of our horse troughs that we grow in, and we made what is called the taco garden, or things that you would need to put in your tacos. There are other gardens that you can make, like pizza gardens and stuff like that. But it was the kids planted, and they helped weed and cultivate. And then we harvested some of those and had taco night at church. But they learned a lot, and they will continue to learn a lot. But we also have things that our older members are going to be doing, like making birdhouses for pest control, a natural pest control. We haven't quite figured out what to do with the deer, and the congregation is a little bit annoyed at me that we've been singing As the Deer for the past several Sundays, but we have lots of ways that it doesn't matter your age that you can participate. And we are also trying to encourage people with various seating areas that if you're not able to garden but want to be a part, that you can come and just be with us and share in the laughter and joy of the work that we're doing. We have a bench that we garbage picked off of a neighbor, and we're repurposing it. And we are painting it turquoise based off the turquoise table book. that is to welcome communities into our yard, as it were, to just be a part of what is happening there, and so that we can develop those relationships together. We have community partners and educational partners that are helping us a lot in this process. I've developed a lot of relationships with Purdue Extension. The city or the town of Highland has been pivotal in helping us succeed. They've even given us free dirt to expand our gardens. But those are ways that we are working on to really develop relationships within the community and beyond. And also we're using this as an educational tool for environmental awareness and stewardship, for how we can protect God's land, how we can be good stewards of it. There's our sign. One of our Eagle Scouts who just graduated high school, his Eagle Scout project was to build the pollinating garden, and so that's where our sign is. And he did receive the rank of Eagle Scout. We have two gardens on either side that grow all kinds of vegetables, and we also, from all kinds of tomatoes, broccoli, cabbage, all kinds of peppers. One of the things that we asked our area food pantries, particularly so that we could be culturally sensitive, we asked what kind of vegetables they wanted rather than us assuming what they needed. And so that was a helpful conversation to have. But we also have 4 horse troughs, which sounds weird, but they grow really well because the troughs maintain a nice level of heat. And so we have 2 trellises going in between each one, and they are growing beans. And so we are really excited about that. We are beginning our first harvest right now of beans, and Italian pole beans that are almost a foot in length. We're really excited. We also have this, it's a 20-foot by 20-foot garden that this year we're experimenting with straw bale gardening, and that's been an interesting thing, because you basically have to wait till the inside of the straw bale starts to rot, and you're like, I mean, you want your stuff to rot, but in this case you do, and it gets nice and warm in there, although the spring didn't cooperate with us. And so we are growing a bunch of different kinds of things to see how well they do and see if it's a worthwhile practice. Oh, there's our beans. I promised our farm manager that we would have beans. But we also have an outdoor worship service off the perimeter of the gardens where the whole congregation can worship God together on that. And so while we have lots that we're looking forward to, we have a lot of really good energy right now, a core group of people that work very hard, and a church that is really proud of this ministry. So thank you for taking the time to listen to me, and I hope it wasn't boring.